Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Letter, where we're now Rebecca. We just got to the mansion because Isabella hit her head or something.
I think I have such a hard time switching characters. I think I've nailed this. Because you get so adrenaline at the end of it, like, oh my god, what's happening? And then it's like, now we're at this other new character. And it's like, but story, that.
Yeah, I mean, like, what happened to Marianne? I want to know.
Yeah.
And we're like, now we are days away from when that even happens.
I know. So anyways.
Yeah.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her like the gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I note my tight grip on it and quickly slip it into my pocket before she notices. She doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
Yeah,
no worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere or venture deeper into the mansion on my own. In some way, I'm not too keen on the ladder right now.
Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. Girl never listens.
Rose? Rosie? May I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile still, friendly even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing, to say the least. The level of professionalism. I suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to put that off without batting an eye. It certainly didn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella, though.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes. Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
All right, this won't be long, I promise.
She throws me an apologetic look before sauntering over to the small group gathered at the entrance.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. I was still waiting for, like, the ghost to appear. A couple, or siblings, and another woman, probably their secretary. Sure. Either way, they look no different from the other guests. All three of them primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills, no extravagance of any form. But their gestures and movements alone speak volumes for their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly gaping at them. While also attempting my best not to listen in on their conversation. Although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the walls with only the five of us here. Pretty soon I find myself drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
The mundane talk isn't what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment, a fleeting shift of my eye.
One day for us, Marianne.
Just please make sure there won't be any other mishaps, ma'am. My team would be more than happy to help you then.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this,
And the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup.
Ugh. He called her Mint.
Yeah.
Aren't you, Marianne? You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we? In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Why would he bring that up?
I don't know. He's an idiot.
Looming. hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to a flame. Dark blur. No, a shadow.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have
Ooh, do you see that behind him?
important matters to attend to.
There's like black shadowing behind him.
Yeah.
Darling, your liver. You already had a glass today, and apparently a few days ago as well.
Why does it sound so muffled?
I think that's on purpose.
How many times do we have to remind you? Doctor's orders, remember?
That's a shame.
Oh, it's getting more muffled.
You never let me do anything fun.
What the hell?
But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps to every part of me, crawling under my skin and draining me little by little of any strength. Before I know it, my hand's gripping the nearby door for support. The sudden nausea drowns out their voices and what little sound there is, all except for the whispers and laughters, judging, mocking, taunting, muffled, inaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. Man. So yeah, this is the most that has happened to someone without seeing the letter.
Yeah, I don't know if it was because she dealt with that child.
I don't think so. I think the child's clean. Like, I think that was just Zach seeing things. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binds tightening with every syllable, every utterance. And with each draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully, into a bottomless abyss. On and on and on, till the sounds turn into mere distant echoes, until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade and my eyes snap open.
The black fog's gone behind him.
Yeah, when I look at them again, it's gone.
Just a second, darling. Send my regards to Isabel, please. Poor girl. Please let her know she doesn't have to worry and tell her to get some rest. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadows or dark clouds, only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes, the usual pleasantries, as Miss Cooper leads them out of the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it, and even as I force my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes trained on their backs and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently, she closes the great doors behind her, but there's a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whenever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. Was I just seeing things?
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we're going to... hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
I'm fine.
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. The weather, the stupid cold, and the friendly warnings I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabella's right. I was and still am a little feverish when she visited me at school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function. It did get better after lunch, and I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Now I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's anything but. I simply must have listened to too many times to Isabel last week. My fever-muddled mind has started to confuse things. If this doesn't let up, I just need another visit to my doctor, plain and simple. Though I do hope it won't get worse. We did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. Lead the way.
With a small nod, she gestures for me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes, and my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor in itself. Isabella's no longer there, left shortly before I arrived, or at least that's what the few staff who saw her assumed. None of them knew where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places in Luxbourne she frequents, and while she's never been the complex kind, it doesn't really take a genius to figure it out. Still, it's odd she left on her own. She could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay the cab's fare twice today.
And right after she was told to stay put. I mean, who does that?
I thought so.
Oh, sod off! You don't own the road!
In the end, all Miss Cooper could give me were a string of apologies for my trouble and requests to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair doesn't even last long. I probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving my way back to downtown Luxbourne, worried sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. Whether at the unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself, I'd rather not think about it for now. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Oh, so that's why she was so mad at the thing. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that's where I'll find her. As one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie house when I get to it. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from any passing traffic to make the way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while in a crowd this big, but I eventually spot them near the entrance. Thanks to Zachary mostly. And like I surmised, Isabella's with them.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I march over to their little group. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I can stop myself.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness. Becca, you're just in time.
An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both hands, but I ignore it in favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still and fix her gaze at me.
Becca, you're squishing my face. How are you? Are you all right? Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from her confused frown at my questions, she looks pretty much like how she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell these things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next door. If I hadn't checked on her then, she probably would have died on her bed with the rest of us, none the wiser. It's one thing we laugh about now, but moments like those also teaches you something about a person. If anything, it has given me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and gently as she can, Isabella pushes my hands away. Yet even before she says anything, I already have a hunch how this whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today.
That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down as I've imagined. She dodges my hand when I reach for the back of her head, intending to check the said injury myself. Even makes a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag. Shouting and chasing like none of us can be bothered to act like full-grown adults we're all supposed to be. Including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash, out of everyone? In fact, it's that stupid smirk on his face tells me anything. He finds this whole mess amusing. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this. Just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand's still mid-air as my attention shifts to Ashton and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware of what he said. But the meaning in each syllable alone is clear. And they echo, they sting, they burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course. Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put, after that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence falls when I mull over their words, both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. When I do find my voice, it only reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts I quickly stamp out before they surface. Thoughts I hide the best I can in the deepest parts of my mind, locking it away for no one to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
Yet, try as it might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head, like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere, whenever he thinks no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should. Every small little thing. Despite what he says, despite his tone.
You guys.
Triangle.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking like he often tells me, or maybe there really is something there. But in his short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake it is this time, though? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, If I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens and snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond. Not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty, so many things I can use to reason and get him to agree. But because he speaks with much certainty, with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I can get a grip of myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca. It's always been you with him, isn't it? Did you say something? Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else can it be? Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Little do I know, this is merely a preamble. It starts out quietly and without fanfare, amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing, with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. Oh,
Yep, so here's the first
yeah,
time
there we
she
go.
sees it.
Yeah, one that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank, no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists. As if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth in her story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds now? Crivens, even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me time to regret nor think over my choice of words. From there, it escalates, grows into an argument too petty even for our standards as adults. Before we know it, one after another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up.
There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe
After.
Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my
Eyes are
friends.
creepy in that picture.
Why don't
Yeah.
you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all this, and however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else can deal with someone selfishly acting like a kid? Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off, slams the door right on our faces while my own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression of her when she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton, I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, soured expression and balled fists, throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman at that. Words form at the tip of my tongue ready. But before I can open my mouth and let all of it out, her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises a voice of his own.
Guys!
A warning underneath the warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop and look at him. Even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
So this is like the only scene I feel like we've overlapped kind of so far.
Yeah, this one is like overlapped the most. To an outsider, it may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabbles. Also, now that I think about it, like, there's nothing we can, like, no outcome we can affect here.
All right, I know.
This time's no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it fall, they only ring sharp and
We
true.
haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
As careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be there for him, to give him what little support we can give, yet here he is trying to keep three stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later we can and will talk about it, of course. There's a proper time and place for it, and at the moment my anger and whatever reprimand it carries no longer matter. Beside me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines of his shoulders ease and something much more relaxed, his expression back to its usual nonchalance. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping the straps of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face, only an undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks. Always the open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. And when she looks up, her answer is also simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled up into a smile. Though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it is a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times. It's the very same one she would show when she knows she has no other choice, or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expected her to run, to balk the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us. Less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, hiding herself and coping with it like how she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been this childish, naive girl, and watching the opposite play out right now, somehow I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
All right, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good.
kind of
I
a
thought for
bitch,
sure you were
Becca.
going to cry.
Just so we're aware. Friends and all, but let me just go through every single fault this woman has and why none of the things she's saying can be true based on the fact that her personality's like this.
Yeah, pretty much. But I envy
What
her.
was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby. I'm not one.
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it.
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world. How everything seems to simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around. How easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds only long years could forge, like a lost piece of a puzzle despite her jagged edges. How she draws people to her with ease. How Ashton of all people can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too. If you repeat that, I swear I'll...
Let's just go.
Make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, linger stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them. From their playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles, all before the stabbing aches in my heart change into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head is what I'd often tell myself. Yet the way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts. And like a coward, I walk away from it. It's taking with me a small hope the movie will distract me away from these thoughts. Because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Dusk has already given way to night when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I am hoping. Neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy, too loud. Too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. It forces anyone to bump shoulders with those they barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone. And yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
So you got some other time?
Yeah. See ya.
Not even to return the smiles Ashton and Zachary gives us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call, or earlier than that, maybe even the moment I left bed this morning. Bloody hell, it could have been because of that sodding letter for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep, and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head won't turn into a full-blown headache, too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming. But I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
God, she is such a bitch.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe...
I would just shut up
Maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air, to replace the strained atmosphere we've somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing I'm not too keen to deal with at present. Behind me, Isabella also changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times when she can be the least coordinated person on the planet.
Becca, hey! Oh no. Wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry. They're not really completely unfounded once you've already grown familiar with her habits, though right now this is also at the very end of the list of things I want to think about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice as she calls after me sounds nothing more like background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
No, but she might leave without you at this point.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is. But the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
I would get a cab.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella. If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier.
I would use
you
a different
really
word.
Okay?
Yeah.
Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
Nope.
A long pause follows, and it holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but all the same, my hand stops short of unlocking my car, and I grip on the handle tightens. I can feel her eyes boring on me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answers I'd give. She's the same as Zachary. They're bad liars. But when you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth. Those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk, yet somehow, something in how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Wherever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it, not at this minute, preferably never. Especially when there are already a million other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Sometimes my patience can only be tried for so long.
All right.
I feel like she would probably go with that one, but I kind of want to...
I'm just like, what is her deal? Like, I legit didn't really want to play her when we got into this, and now I seriously don't want to play her. And I cannot believe Isabella's like as close of friends with her. She's like, I mean, look at her little posture and stand.
Yeah, like she's like so standoffish.
Ugh. Anyways,
I think let's just go with this one.
Yep.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening.
Wait, what?
That had nothing to do with anything.
Oh, we got points.
We got points. I guess that's good.
I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Isabella.
Yeah?
Pause, though I don't let it last, only to give myself a small window to breathe before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint my patience allows. Which is not much after everything. I can only hope Isabella will simply take them as they are. She can be stubborn as a mule when she wants to be.
This kind of conversation tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted.
Oh, okay, so that's where that comes in.
Can we talk about this some other time?
We just get in the car and go.
Right? She blinks, and although disappointment flashes momentarily in her face, she gives me a curt nod. Relief enough for me, perhaps the first time I genuinely feel it today. As unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the way I've anticipated takes the edge out of it. Even if lying through my teeth had to go with it.
Oh, all right. You should have just said so. I told you you should have taken a full week off. Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything? I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for. It's one or the other, you know?
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something. Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay? I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever. Just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving? If you want, I can call a taxi for us. You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least.
If we can just get in the car.
Right.
Just have this
Get in the
conversation.
car so we can be on our way.
There we go. I'm already opening the door and climbing into the seat before she can protest. Left with no other choice, she follows inside shortly, albeit with a bit of reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now, these little falsehoods are mine to bear and hide under. For now, this is the better choice. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or giving her vague answers. Certainly better than harsh words and outright lashing out at her.
I think you already did that.
I can find a little comfort in that.
You already kind of did lash out.
A little bit. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't. Because no sooner than we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. Despite my fall mood, I still end up suppressing a laughter once the first sounds of her breathing fill the car.
Mama, not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quiet rhythm so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression anyone has of her. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us, the silence, and it's so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends the air this strange clarity. Every little sound, every single movement more palpable. And with it comes the unease. A jolt of surprise hits me. It's almost comical if it were a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodge my mobile from its seat on the dashboard when I swipe it on the screen. Soon I'm scrambling blindly for it with my other hand while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. A voice crackles from the loudspeakers before I can put it back. Although muffled heavily by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line from her chipper tone alone.
Hello? Miss Cooper?
Oops, we forgot to call.
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile. Were you able to meet up with her?
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
Oh.
Was this the night she died?
No. My hand stopped dead. My hand stops dead for a minute. I spare the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines of my mouth forms into a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up.
Huh.
Come again?
What?
Is everything all right over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some, other...
I have to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there, although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper? Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and maybe this lapse is entirely because of exhaustion. It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Though perhaps had I paid closer attention to it, had I not been so occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed it earlier. That it never came from my phone, but from somewhere right behind me. Oh, Jesus.
Yep.
There we go. Time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. The first thing I see is its face, a ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness, in the world passing by in a blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it, little trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under what little light there is. But it is the gleam in its eyes that catches mine. The quiet plea, the anguish, and the desperation in them. More than its hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away. Even its lips contort into a horrific smile. There it is. I was like, wait, what? Even its sharp, harsh noises pierce the air and the silence around us.
Rebecca!
Against everything I've been taught, I constantly reminded myself. I close my eyes. It's a brief moment. A short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move, or my feet didn't hit the brakes in that second, I might have... Isabella and I might have... No. I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. Right now, it's an ugly line of thought that I refuse to venture into. Not when my breathing is a struggle and every ounce of strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe. That's all that matters. But it is not her face that I look for when I finally open my eyes. All gone. I expected stains, little telling marks and creases on the covers to show me where it sat not a second ago. But whatever it is, left not a single trace. And though courage is a hard thing to gather at this point, I take what little of it remains in me and turn towards the back seat. Even then, there's none. Or was there really something in there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. Stupid flu again.
I need a long rest after this.
My hands fall uselessly to my sides, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel is gone, yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, the heart still pounds at an erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me, and little by little, second after second, as I sit here motionless, color begins to seep back around me. Along with it are sounds and a voice, no longer the indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Becca, are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me. You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional. But with heat prickling at the back of my eyes and the mild throbbing in my temple, I can honestly do with a little silence for now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca.
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road, or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabella looks away then, while what's left of my little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she let loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay has always been meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home. It's what she'd tell herself during the first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe it. And if there's something in her reasons that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Those are hers to keep.
I'll be careful this time, I promise. Just please, can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
She nods, and that is the end of it. We spend the rest of the trip back to Salem Wall in silence. All thoughts of an overactive imagination playing tricks on a flu-addled mind and of smiles never meant for my eyes abandoned, if only for a brief moment. That's it done. All right, that seems like a good place to leave it for now. We'll see what's going on. So, yeah, so I think it's weird that she had interactions before seeing the letter. I mean, she didn't see the ghost until after.
Correct.
But it kind of makes me wonder how it all ties together.
Yeah, I'd like to know if it's just the house haunted, like if you walk in there, you hear it.
Right. So. Well, but it didn't seem to... Well, I guess none of the rich people would have admitted if they saw it,
right.
I would think.
So.
I mean, really, even people who've seen it have been like, it was just my mind playing tricks on me. So,
we'll see.
We'll have to find out. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.